I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the UNDERSEAT PRO 17.5-inch travel backpack, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. In the scheme of things, this thing is pretty simple on the outside. So a couple of external features that I want to talk about. First off, we have these two little pen loops. I'm actually going to take this water bottle out of the pocket so that I can put this fully on its side. We have two elastic pen loops on the outside of the bag. I didn't find a function for these. I think this is, if you're somebody who wants to have a pen handy, this is really great. The elastic feels pretty secure, but it just was a little bit overkill for me. You could attach other gear to this too. You don't have to use these for pens, so it's kind of up to you. But for me, it wasn't something that was super functional or necessary, but it's more for quick access to a pen for like custom forms or things like that. So nice feature, not super incredible, not a selling point for me at least. On the other side here, we have a little attachment loop with a carabiner. The loop itself feels pretty secure, but the carabiner feels very not secure, I guess is the best way that you can put that. If you look at that, I pulled this open and it stayed open. Once I push this down, if I push it in, it can wiggle out of placement. So this isn't something that I would necessarily trust the carabiner that this comes with. However, you can easily detach this and just attach your own carabiner to this little loop, or you can take this carabiner off and not use it at all. But that's just for attaching extra things to your bag. Kind of up to you if you want to use this, kind of like those pen loops. Could be functional, could not be, but they don't really get in the way either way, just not super quality feeling. We also have this water bottle pocket. This can fit up to a 1 liter water bottle, but I just have a little 17 ounce here, or 19 ounce or 18 ounce or something like that. And then they have a little cinch cord to be able to lock in that fit. This felt super secure. I like that my bottle goes all the way down. It's got mesh on this back side here, and then the front is just like the rest of the material of this bag. This bag just feels like a kind of like a nylon polyester material, so it feels fairly durable. There are a few loose threads kind of throughout, that's almost just like little fuzzies that just got pulled off the bag, but I think there's some loose threading down here somewhere. It's just kind of all throughout the bag. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break or anything like that, but you can tell that these materials just aren't necessarily the top tier materials. The harness system for this backpack is pretty simple. It's just a sternum strap on a sliding rail here. I really like this. It felt nice and secure. It is removable if you don't need it, but I found that with the way that these straps are, I really needed that extra support from the sternum strap. There are also 2 loops here where you can attach a hip belt that is sold separately, or if you have one at home, you can always attach whatever one you have. That probably would have been nice to take a little bit of weight off as well. Just because these shoulder straps here, you can see there's a decent amount of padding and they are pretty flexible. They just feel really basic. I think for as heavy as this bag can get, which I'll get into in a second with how full I have this packed out. If you have less gear in here, which you may need to do, which I will get into in a second, they are a little bit more comfortable, but for me, with how heavy this bag is, these just weren't substantial enough, and the way that the bag is shaped, it's designed to be able to fit inside of budget airlines, but that doesn't mean that it's missing all of that contouring that you usually see on a backpack that makes it more comfortable to wear. So without these straps being super beefy, I just noticed it a little bit more. We also have this luggage pass-through here, which is nice and sizable if you wanted to put this on top of your luggage. And then we have a hidden pocket, which I will talk about in a second. But I didn't feel like this zipper pull or anything on me, but this is a great spot for passport or something that you want to keep a little bit more secure. Like I mentioned, the main thing I noticed with this bag with the shoulder straps was how when the bag is heavy, it just really feels like there's a lot of weight on my shoulders. It doesn't really feel like it's pulling much off of it. So when I was walking through the airport, I could really feel everything that I had in here. I do have the sternum strap attached. It is doing a pretty decent job at pulling that weight off of me, but I would recommend that hip belt or having something else if you're going to be packing this out a ton. Additionally, with the way that the laptop compartment is, which I'll show you in a second, I can really feel my laptop at the base of my lower back. So that's something that I noticed pretty much the entire time. I did end up moving where my laptop was located because I just got kind of irritated with being able to feel it on my back. So in terms of carry, I think this is not its strong suit, but if you're getting this bag because you want the feature of being able to carry it on budget airlines, then it's easy enough to deal with. Getting into secondary compartments, there are a few different places you can store gear on the outside of this bag. So we have this front compartment here, which is completely flat. This is best for like small, thin items. Anything too thick, I had a hard time getting in and out of here, just because when this bag is full, it starts to kind of like push into that material and it can make it feel really taut. So in here, I have just a big old pack of gum that I bought last minute at the airport, and then I have my phone. So that's a pretty decent place to put these two items. I didn't find myself using it really for anything other than that. We also have these two pockets on the side here. I really like these for holding things like, here I have my headphones, and then I have my wallet as well. And this sort of has that same thing where the more the main compartment is packed out, the harder it's going to be to get things in and out of this pocket. So what I ended up doing, there is a spot for a key leash, but when I was leaving my place really quickly, I ended up just like putting my key in this pocket, shutting it, and then not opening it up again. It just kind of hung out in there. But you know, it is a pretty sizable pocket. You can see like the depth of it here. The inside has like a little bit of like a TPU feeling liner. It's almost like it's just like a little bit slick, but it's not, it's only on this outer side, not this bottom side here. Just something to note. I think it just helps a little bit with weatherproofing, but these pockets do feel pretty convenient. I did like these tiny pockets on the side. I thought they were just nice for smaller items. We also have the pocket on this luggage pass-through, which I mentioned earlier. This is just a spot for like a passport or something. If you have like a phone in here, it's going to feel really thick. So this is definitely just for like small items you want to keep concealed. I wouldn't do anything too large in here. Even a wallet, you're going to feel that on your back. So I would definitely avoid that. But otherwise, you know, like I said, couldn't really feel that zipper pull or anything. We got nice YKK zippers, so everything feels pretty secure. And then that's pretty much it for the outside here. Oh, we do have this laptop compartment. So a separate compartment, these top carry handles, this was just good for quick grabs. It's not necessarily, it's not padded, but it's not padded. These just clip together just like any standard handle. It's not anything particularly fancy. They just buckle in, but you can see they do block the compartment zippers. So if you wanted to get into either the main compartment or this laptop compartment, you did have to undo these, which was kind of annoying going through security, but I just grabbed my stuff out and then rebuckled it and then just kind of waited until I got to the front so I could put everything in a bin. This laptop compartment, as I was mentioning, you can feel, or I could feel my laptop. It comes to, you can feel it like right about here. It's not, there's no like false bottom or anything, so I didn't feel like that was necessarily a concern for me with this backpack. The main thing was that I could feel it when I was wearing it. So there's just like a little elastic tab there. You can pull your laptop out. I'm going to leave this out and show you where I put it instead. But there is sizable padding like on this actual laptop sleeve, so that's nice. And then we have a pocket here, which is where I just stuck like charging cables and things like that. If I took my laptop out but left the charging cables in there and closed this laptop compartment up and just wore the backpack like normal, I couldn't feel my chargers in there. I actually had I think like 2 wall chargers and then two cables, and I didn't have any issue. Like it was more comfortable not having the laptop in and having those like chargers in there than having the laptop in there blocking the chargers and creating like a flat platform. So something to keep in mind, but there is another spot to put that, which we will get into in a second. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. Now getting into the main compartment. So the main thing I want to talk about here is the profile of the pack. So this is actually how I carry the bag. I flew Frontier to Arizona, both to and from, and they have really tight restrictions. Everything's like an add-on. So if you fly with a personal item, you, at the time of this video, you don't have to pay anything extra. And this is like on the dot, specifically their requirements. So on the way there, they didn't check bags or anything like that when we were getting on the plane, but on the way back, they wanted everybody to fit this into the personal item size bin. And the way that I have this packed out right now, which is everything that I had for this trip, I did overpack a little bit. I definitely could have pared this down a little bit more, but the event that I was going to, I needed a few more things. So with this actually, with the shape that I have this, it doesn't fit inside of those carry-on requirements. So, or sorry, personal item requirements. This did count as a carry-on whole thing. Don't need to go into the whole backstory, but I didn't need to pay any extra to get this on because it was qualified as a carry-on too. But if you were going to be carrying this as a carry-on, you really need to make sure that your gear fits into the profile of this bag and doesn't expand out. So what I mean by that is if you open up this main compartment here and you lay this flat, you can see that my gear comes like above this zipper line. And because of how tight it is, then it starts to butt out on this bottom profile as well. So in order to make it so that it would fit into that bin, I would essentially need to only pack as tall as the bag itself without squishing everything down. That is great in theory, but I think we're going to talk about that in a second, with like how quickly you can get caught not fitting into those bins. This is something that you're going to have to really think about when you pack this bag. So if I have this like this fits that profile and it's not expanding out anymore. So I'll be able to get this into that personal item bin really easily. However, I did have to take out a full packing cube and my toiletry bag. So worth keeping in mind, and the packable bag. So worth keeping in mind if you're somebody who can pack really light, which usually I do, and I think that I would be able to get I could probably get like 4 days of clothes into here without needing to expand that out. But something to keep in mind, this is only 25 liters, so the more you add, the more expansive it's gonna get, and you could be asked to check your bag at the gate, which can be pricier than if you were to just, pay ahead of time. So looking at the actual inside of this bag here, we have a couple of straps to keep everything in line. I'm gonna take these packing cubes out, and then a shoe pouch and then another packing cube. It's all filled with everything I took on my trip with me. You can see a couple of different things. First off, we have these tie-down straps that are hooked into place with like these little metal loops. You could technically just take them out. It's sort of up to you, but when the metal loops help keep them in place so they don't like fall into this like main compartment and they get stuck. But they do block these zippers if you want to get into these side pockets. So it's just kind of like a minor annoyance, nothing too major. I usually just kind of like tucked it out of the way or whatever. These side pockets, they're all over. We have 2 on each side and then 2 larger ones on the front and back. I found that when I packed these out, I lost a ton of space in this main compartment. So I opted to just use cubes, but I did use 2 pouches over on this side here. I have a baseball hat in one, and then I have a beanie in the other. So those are great for like small accessories. I shoved like socks into here and it just butted out too much. It just wasn't an efficient use of space for me personally. So, but I did do accessories in here. I have a pair of sunglasses and a little lint roller. So you do have a decent amount of space if you wanted to utilize that. It's kind of an interesting use of organization to have just pockets along the outside, kind of fun. We also have a sleeve back here, which I didn't find myself utilizing just because it's on the bottom here. But here is where I ended up putting my laptop. So with this here, because I was having such an issue with the laptop compartment on the outside here, I ended up just putting it on the inside on this lid. And this was fine because it also gave me like a little bit of structure on this top bit. It felt like it like flattened it out a little bit, which is good if you're trying to stay within that like restriction a little bit. And it fit perfectly fine in here, and it was still easy to just unzip a little bit at the top, pull my laptop out at security, and then slip it back in. I didn't feel like I lost functionality there, so that's pretty handy. Then there's also a little tablet sleeve if you want that, then a zippered pocket, which I didn't find myself using a ton just because everything slips down to the bottom there, so wasn't super useful for me. And then these 2 pockets, which you saw at the very beginning, I had my deodorant in one of them, and right when I opened this up, because this was so tall, my deodorant slipped right out of there, and then I lifted it up and it flew everywhere. So these pockets on the front didn't find like super functional, just sort of like left whatever I needed to in there, and it worked okay. but it was a good alternative to keeping the laptop in the main compartment if you want to, or in that laptop compartment if you're a little bit worried about where you're gonna store everything and have that like comfort issue that I had. So there you have it, the UNDERSEAT PRO 17.5 inch travel backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.